Thank you. One of the great things about the hubs is seeing how they all address different areas of unmet need. And this is obviously something different. So there are three things that I want you to know about the eye. First, it serves sight, and sight is the most precious of all the senses. Second, 1.3 billion people worldwide are affected by sight loss. And third, it is the window into your systemic health and well-being. And this feature is going to change the way that we discover, we evaluate drugs, and deliver clinical practice over the next 10 years. So how did we get to this? Well, in 1886, the first retinal photograph looked like this. The optic disc and not much else, but pretty amazing at the time. In 1961, we could, for the first time, map blood flow in real time through the retinal vessels, using the transparency of the eye as an amazing window into the body and into the systemic vasculature. And now, what can we do? So we can now have ultra-wide field imaging as standard. This is present in all NHS clinics and is routine. We can now look at this in 3 dimensions at micron level. This is around 1,000 times more higher resolution than an MRI scan. And we just do this every day. And so micron level imaging for us is standard. It's non-invasive, it's repeatable. Rory mentioned this beautifully this morning, so I won't bang on about it. But I mean, these were images of the front and back of my eye, took a few seconds to take. And you're seeing down to cellular level detail here. You're seeing vascular tissue, neural tissue, and stromal tissue, representative of the whole body, just in this amazing window of the eye. And these are, as I say, new insights for discovery, innovation, and care. So how can we access this kind of data? And how can we access this kind of data at scale? Which brings us, not surprisingly, to our hub, Insight. And we're very proud of the work that's been done, sharing that with other hubs presenting today, and representing 6 partners across 5 sectors. University Hospitals Birmingham, Moorfields Eye Hospital, the 2 NHS partners, University of Birmingham, Roche, Google, and Action Against AMD, represented by Wenhua Li, who's here today. And at our current status, we have curated over 28 million images and linked longitudinal data representing over 2 million patients. And established in 2019, by 2020, we were the largest ophthalmic bioresource in the world. And we're really proud that this is an area that the NHS is leading globally, therefore, through this provision of data through Insight. And so this is making an impact in eye health. And even in the UK, the ophthalmology is the leading outpatient specialty, arguably leading in a bad way, in that number of patient visits is very, very busy. But it's also an area of amazing pharmaceutical opportunity to develop new drugs that will impact and save sight. But my main focus here for all of us in the room is the impact of the eye as a window. And actually, Rory touched on a couple of these areas this morning, but diseases like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, and many, many others listed here. There are unique biomarkers in the eye, unique signals that we can measure in a quantitative way as standard. And the implications of this is for early signal detection in systemic disease. You can use safety markers of neurodegeneration. You can see early repeatable signals for neurodegenerative cardiovascular conditions. People are talking about oculomic scans at your high street optometrist. So you go to your local optician and you will be offered, as well as having an eye check, do you want your oculomic check as well? And this is actually happening. We're having applications around this. It's really exciting. And just to give you one example, some of you will know this paper. This is just a standard 2D retinal photograph, not anything more sophisticated. And I can say that looks okay, but the team from Dale Webster and co. trained an algorithm that could tell you, same image, this is a woman, she's 58 years old, non-smoker, not diabetic, BMI of around 25, BP of 150/85. Imagine the power of that in your kind of local optician. I mean, we may not be ready for it, but it's just to give you an indication of this kind of tool and sensitivity that could be being used in your trials and your wider development of care. So this is obviously embedded within a trusted approach to data with public and patient groups led by Helen Baker and Helen Kahn here today, and our Data Trust Advisory Board, who are led by Lee here today, and several of you are in this room, and our thanks to you. We've also focused on inclusive data and inclusion by design, and we led this advocacy around health data poverty, coining the term as a way to explain to policymakers what the damage of underrepresentative data might be if you start to develop data-driven tools and AI that is built on unrepresentative data. But we, and many of the hubs, I would say the same, we can provide inclusive data sets that enable an inclusive technology development pipeline. So the last thing just to mention in this is we're also co-leading something called Standing Together, which is standards for data diversity, inclusivity, and generalizability, supported by NIHR and NHSX as was. And I'm very, very excited about what this is doing in this area. So lastly, before I hand over to Hilary, just to say we built our model on data pipelines. So these are evergreen, near real time. And this has also enabled us, like many other hubs, to respond fast to the threat of COVID and the impact that this may cause. We provide expertise in AI health tech from innovation through to policy, with particular expertise in evaluation and regulation. And we welcome any inquiries around this. So to Hilary, thank you.
So I think it was Jeff that said earlier on that you are going to hear a lot about the commitment of all of the hubs to engagement with patients and the public. But I think there is another theme as well that's worth emphasizing, and that is one of networking. No single site, no single center can do what we want to do on its own. So networking is really important. Convening is really important. And being willing to give things away is really important if we are going to move into a different world of making best use of data for patient and public benefit. I think we're really delighted to be able to say that as part of Insight, we have grown collaboration and worked across a broad sector of industry, taking the perspectives of those different industries, taking their needs into consideration, but also importantly, putting those alongside the needs of patients and the public. So everything we do is framed within that North Star of what's in the best interests of patients and the public. We wanted to call out our work with SMEs as a particular example, because I think it's one thing to say we should work with SMEs, we should help grow the economic base of SMEs in this country, but there are challenges for those SMEs, and these points that you're seeing here are just a small snapshot of how we might summarize those from our Insight experience. So for example, the proposal may not match an NHS priority need. I think Kay is telling me to move. So I think what I would say is ideas don't make money, product and commercialization of that makes money. And so there's a really important piece of work that we have to do to move that idea into a place where it can be turned into product and then commercialize. These are our key points, I think, for our presentation. We believe that we are trusted by patients and our users. That's a trust that we cannot lose, and that is something that we will maintain, continue to work to retain. The data that we've generated is diverse and it is representative of the UK population. Evergreen, high quality data pipelines. We can provide expertise across a range of particular areas in support of development of the novel, and we are the largest bioresource in the world now for eye health and for oculomics. Thank you very much, and we'll be pleased to talk to anybody at the end.